Find out whether you'll still be able to visit a popular beach hotspot. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage finds himself in the hot seat over recent comments. And Prime Minister Craig Christie revealed his political intentions. Find out about these stories and others. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and welcome to the Tribune's Top 5. Taxicab union was this week up in arms after it was revealed that public access to Cabbage Beach might be cut off. The imminent closure of the main public access to Cable Beach adjacent to Riu Paradise Island Hotel ignited a firestorm of criticism, with Bahamas taxicab union officials warning on Monday that the decision could adversely affect scores of drivers. According to signs attached last week to the sliding metal entry gates to the path, as of October 8th, people will no longer be permitted to access the beach over the privately owned land, which is scheduled for development. Bahamas Taxicab Union President Philip Watkins insisted that the decision to close the western easement to Cabbage Beach would not be gracefully accepted. Mr. Watkins warned that the proposed closure would single-handedly end the livelihood of many taxi drivers due to the high volume of businesses generated from tourists wanting to be transported to the beach. A statement from Atlantis said the public access through the property has always been on a temporary basis. However, Tourism Minister Obi Wilshcombe has vowed that the main public access point to Cabbage Beach would remain open despite the closure notices. According to Mr. Wilshcombe, discussions between the government and the property's owner, Access Industries, are underway to ensure that the easement, which is adjacent to the Riu Hotel, remains open. Law enforcement had their hands tied this week as the country's murder count went to 107, with the homicide of a husband and wife in Grand Bahama and the shooting death of the boyfriend of a well-known activist. On Tuesday, the murder-accused boyfriend of well-known anti-crime advocate Candy Gibson was shot dead as he returned from throwing out the trash at his residence near the Sadie Curtis Primary School at around 8 a.m. Roberto Barnaby Williams, aka Bo, became the seventh homicide within 5 days. Williams was on bail for 2 murders at the time of his death, according to Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean. He was the boyfriend of Candy Gibson, the president of Families of All Murder Victims, a non-profit organization which aims to assist people whose relatives were murdered or were victims of crime. Prior to this case, police in Grand Bahama were investigating a double homicide after a husband and wife were discovered dead inside their home on Sunday morning. The victims, Barry and Sheila Johnson, were found shot dead shortly before 9 a.m. at an apartment complex in the Holmes Rock area. Police said both victims were shot once to the head. The shooting left the entire community, including the victim's family, in a state of shock, according to a senior police official. Police do not yet know the motive of this incident, which pushed the island's murder count to 12 for the year. Distraught relatives and a crowd of onlookers gathered at the scene as police processed the area. Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Emric Seymour said officers discovered the lifeless body of the male just outside the complex with a gunshot to the front of the head. On further investigation, he said a female was discovered inside the residence with a gunshot to the back of the head. The victims were pronounced dead at the scene by a doctor. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage now blames the judiciary for the country's serious crime problem. Dr. Nottage on Wednesday night shifted blame to the judiciary for the country's crime problem as he blasted judges for failing to impose stiffer penalties and not properly enforcing laws that are on the books. During a House of Assembly session, Dr. Nottage said that some magistrates give lighter sentences to criminals because the accused is someone in society's good son. He said it is hard to believe that some judges live in the same country and still only give criminals a slap on the wrist when they appear before them. His comments came a day after the country marked its 107th homicide for the year. Dr. Nottage admitted that violent crime and murders are a problem, but vowed that the government is going to beat the issue. The comments did not sit well with officials at the Bahamas Bar Association, with its president, Ellsworth Johnson, saying that the Minister of National Security should stick to gynecology since he obviously lacks the innovation and the intellectual attitude to solve the nation's crippling crime problem. Bahama developer Sarkis Ismailian's bid to retain control of the $3.5 billion West Bay Street project suffered a serious blow on Tuesday as the Delaware Bankruptcy Court dismissed virtually its entire Chapter 11 case. Judge Kevin Carey, in a written ruling released at lunchtime, said that continuing the Chapter 11 case was unlikely to force Bahamas' Chinese partners and the government to the negotiating table in the short term. This backed Bahamian Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder, who had earlier said that Bahamas' creditors had a legitimate expectation that any insolvency proceedings involving the project would take place in this nation. Judge Carey thus ruled in favor of the motions by Bahamas contractor and financier China Construction America and the China Export-Import Bank to dismiss the Chapter 11 proceedings involving the developer's 14 Bahamian domiciled companies. His decision confirms the Bahamas as the main legal jurisdiction for resolving the Bahamar dispute and effectively paves the way for the Supreme Court and its joint provisional liquidators to determine the $3.5 billion development's fate. After much uncertainty concerning Prime Minister Perry Christie's political future, he revealed on Thursday night that he intends to make another bid for the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party. The nation's chief on Thursday night reportedly told a crowd of Progressive Liberal Party supporters in North Andros that he plans to offer himself a re-election as leader of the party at its November convention. According to a source who was at the PLP branch meeting in Nicholstown, Mr. Christie reportedly told the crowd to resounding cheers that he will go in as leader and will come out as leader. The Prime Minister was in North Andros with area MP and Minister of Health Dr. Perry Gomez, along with a team from state broadcaster ZNS. On Thursday night, Mr. Christie also criticized the critics who have complained that the voters are tired of him. He said, quote, "Someone was on the radio station saying people tired of Christie. He should have been here tonight with y'all so y'all could tell him. We have no time to be distracted by foolishness. The government of this country is too important to allow us to be distracted by foolishness," end quote. Mr. Christie also told the crowd, quote, "We are going to make this country work. I will make it work for you, and you are going to help us make it work for you," end quote. Meanwhile, multiple sources within the PLP have said that Deputy Prime Minister Philip Grave Davis will also join the leadership race regardless of Mr. Christie's actions. Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com, like us on Facebook, the Tribune News Network, send us a tweet at Tribune242, or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.